I tell people a bit about how I write the songs and how create them with Suno. And it begins with a song that I'm just in the process of writing. I started off at the piano, um, just to show people. It's here. And I had a chord sequence in mind, typical sort of chord sequence for doo-wop in D, and it sort of in my mind was just, and so, but what I'd had in mind is a summer song. I thought it'd be a good song for the doo-wop sort of group that I've created online called the Shoreliners, a group which I tried to get not quite the same, but with a feel like the Coasters, who are a group I always liked. And what I did as a result of creating that is think of the kind of songs that they would do. And so I thought of summer. The problem with summer is that this bright sequence would fit it really well. But I couldn't think of any words which would properly come up with the summer thing. And I came up with one verse. And this is as far as I've got at the moment. And it's one verse and a sort of chorus. And my process is I'll do this one verse and then I'll go away from the piano and I'll write this down. And then I'll just, as I'll show you, repeat the same thing, copy and paste. And when I copy and paste it on as verses, I get on the page the scan that I need to do for the other verses. And I'll decide later on whether I'm going to do a bridge. But this is what I've got so far. Forgive my singing, forgive my piano playing, because I'm not very good. I can hear it all in my head, but I'm just not very capable in doing it. But what I've come up with so far is sitting in my room, looking through a window pane. All I see is gloom and all never-ending rain. And that is as far as I got with the words. But I then thought that what I need to do is change sequence at that point. So I went from and then I came up with some more words. So it was sitting in my room, looking through the window pane. All I see is gloom and never-ending rain. All I want to think of the time I want to spend. Oh, will this winter never end? So that was the feeling, hardly summer, just thinking about summer. But then I thought, well, I can, because it's the Coasters, I can rock this up a bit. And I came up with the next bit. So starting from the beginning again, it goes a bit like this. Sitting in my room, looking through a window pane. All I see is gloom and never-ending rain. All I think about the time I want to spend. Oh, will this winter never end? on the sand, at my feet. All I know is that the feeling can't be beat. And I know that once the sun is hot, but that feeling ain't not what I got. And that's as far as I've got. And really that now is the preparation. I've recorded that. I've got it in mind. And so move on to the next stage. And now this is the next stage of the process. What you'll see here is that I've got a blank sheet. If I show you on the screen, just a blank Word document. And what I'm going to do is just put in the words that I've come up with so far. Well, you see now that I've written down the verse that I'd come up with, and not the chorus yet, but what you can see that I've done is start giving some of the instructions for Suno about the way in which this should be sung. So I have in mind the baritone leading with the intro, but the whole group harmonizing, which is why the various forms of parentheses, brackets are used, and into verse 1. What I'll do now is put in the chorus, and having put in the chorus, what I'll then do is what I said earlier, which is repeat the verse just as it is, because the instructions to Suno, sorry about that, but the instructions to Suno will definitely by that stage need to be repeated so that Suno knows what I'm wanting. I probably will mess about with that after the first generation or two so that I get the sound I want. But just to give you an idea of where I've got to thus far. Once again, just to show you the process, all I've done is take the intro, leave that alone, but copy verse 1 and the chorus, which I've now completed, although I've altered the words a little because I thought it scanned, with further instructions on the chorus. And then I've just copied that as verse 2, exactly the same words, chorus, verse 3, exactly the same. I'll decide at a later stage, I'll put verse 2 twice, so verse 3 there. I'll decide at a later stage whether or not this is a song that needs a bridge. But having had the sound in my head thus far, I'm not sure it does. But I'll have a look at it as it progresses. Well, you can probably see I've now completed the lyrics. This is really difficult for me to read on a computer screen, even if I put it on the bigger screen. But this is the version which I will put into this is the version that I'll put into Suno so that it knows the lyrics. But what I'll do now is, so that I can sing this and see it, is I'll remove all the instructions to compress the words and put them in a readable form on one page. That means when I'll probably do this now on guitar rather than on the piano. I may do it on the piano. We'll see. I'll see how the guitar goes on it. But um, I've got to change that so that it's readable for me. But this is what I'm going to put into Suno, so it has all the instructions. There we are, and I'll come back to you again when I'm ready to go into Suno. You can see now that I've arranged this in two columns so that I can see it all on one screen when I need to sing it, because I'll need to sing it into recording. Now the question for me is how I practice at this, because I'm going to need to practice for a while to get used to it, to get the scans right, and to get the final bit ready for recording. So once again, just need to take some time to put this together. Right, I've decided to try and do it on the guitar rather than on the piano. It's just it's an easier sort of process to practice. Now this is what I've got thus far. This will be a very rough version, but I'll have to then try and record it, and probably take a couple of times, because as I said, I'm not the greatest musician, nor am I a great singer, but I'll put it into the Suno machine, and I'll show you then what it does with the recording that I've put into that machine. So let me try and record it in Suno, and we'll play it back on Suno then, and you can hear it, and then I'll start the process and show you the instructions that I give to Suno beyond those that I've already put in the song. Just showing you now where I am. I'm going to play a little of my recording. That's on Suno, and that's the bass from which you'll note I've played guitar and I've done the full song. And what I've then done is put the lyrics in that I showed you earlier with the bits and pieces which give it instructions. And then in terms of the styles, I've got a fixed style for the shoreliners, and under more options I've got auto tune and reverb as things I don't want in there. And in terms of audio influence, I'm going to get this right up at 100% to start off with, and style influence at 100%, and weirdness down. And then as a final element, I'm going to add a voice that I've got, which I use for I write for this particular shoreliners element. I'm going to stop that recording now. You can hear that it's pretty poor. I'm afraid, as I said, one of the reasons I don't perform or write any of the stuff I write myself is because I'm just not very good, and I'm not a great musician either. But in any event, we move on now to create. I'm going to press the create button, and we'll get our first generations. Once that's generated, as you can see them underway there, I may have to go through a number of other generations to get the sound I want. When I've got the final sound, I'll come back to you. Well, just to show you now, I'm here with the a clip of the final element. I'm going to play the clip now, but the final song will be uploaded to YouTube today, which is probably you can see is the 20th of May 2026.
Dreaming of summer sun and sand beneath my feet. That's a feeling that just cannot be beat. On the shoreline when the days are always hot. But that's just not what I've got. Shoot, 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 ba-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, ah, ba-doo-doo-doo. Shoot, 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 ba-doo-doo-doo-doo, ah, do, ba-doo, ba-doo.